and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, I would like to continue my explanation theory about Red Velvet Psycho, focusing on the ways in which the song may be connected to ZIMZALABIM and UMPAH UMPAH. Now, in order to understand how songs so different can be seen as part of the same story, the first thing that we need to do is to understand the concept they're going for here. ZIMZALABIM, UMPAH UMPAH and Psycho are the title tracks of a trilogy called the ReVe Festival. And right off the bat, this is very telling because the word ReVe is actually a pun. On the one hand, it is a mix of the words red and velvet, which implies that the concept is a celebration of the red side coming together with the velvet side of the girls. This idea seems to be confirmed by the Day One album cover as well, which shows an amusement park that gives a lot of nods to their past songs. The idea here is that the girls are inviting you to their world in order to have fun with them and thanks to them. And the ZIMZALABIM MV reflects this concept by showing the girls both working at the park and actually visiting it. The title, however, could be read in a different way as well, because the word rêve is spelled very similar to the French word rêve, which means dream or wish. Now, if we consider this view in the light of the concept of the trilogy as a whole, then the Red Velvet Festival can also be seen as a dream festival. That is, as a celebration of the two sides coming together that happens in a timeline that is connected to the rest of the story but can also be seen as an illusion. In their past videos, it has been established that the girls have a bit of a darker side to them. In the story, they seem to be part of a coven of witches, and even if they often look pretty harmless, when the velvet side comes to the surface, they become very dangerous. The duality they're showing their music videos is very fitting with the witch archetype, because in many stories belonging to children's fiction and the fairy tale tradition, the character of the witch is often portrayed as someone who is able to hide their true identity in order to attract their victims. Characters like the witch from Hansel and Gretel and the white witch from the Chronicles of Narnia are perfect examples of what I'm saying, because at first they are introduced as nice ladies who just want to feed the children they interact with, and only later they reveal their true nature. With Red Velvet, we see something similar happen in Peekaboo, for instance, and the fact that in their music videos the girls are often associated with food kinda confirms that this is the concept they are going for here. But what does it have to do with ZIMZALABIM, UMPAH UMPAH and Psycho? Well, if we take a closer look at the lyrics, it turns out that when we put the songs in order, they tell a very similar story to the ones that we could find in a children's book. At first, the girls present themselves as helpful guides who want to improve the life of those they interact with. Then we see the narrative gradually shifting by introducing the first warning that something sketchy is actually taking place. And finally, we see the girls revealing their true self. This structure falls perfectly in line with many stories of the fairy tale tradition. But what is truly interesting and original about all of this is that in the ReVe Festival, the girls play the role of both the witch and the victim. Let's begin with ZIMZALABIM to see what I mean. Now, ZIMZALABIM is a song that perfectly conveys the mix between the red and velvet sides of the girls. Even if the song has a very upbeat rhythm and the overall concept is very colorful and playful, the underlying vibe of the lyrics and the MV suggests that something darker is going on. As the title itself suggests, the song is about the girls inviting the audience to cast a spell that leads them to happiness. The lyrics here play on the idea that casting the ZIMZALABIM spell is able to free your true self and leave everything else behind. And on a general level, this is a very positive message. The point of the song is that you have the power to find your own happiness and be whoever you want to be, no matter the difficulties that you faced in the past. But if we look at it in the context of the storyline, then ZIMZALABIM acquires a whole new meaning. As I mentioned earlier, the video shows the girls playing a double role. On the one hand, they are the visitors of the park who enjoy the rides, but on the other, they also work at the park. This is important because their double role implies that one side of them is in control while the other is being controlled. My guess is that the velvet side, which is the witchy and more dangerous one, is trying to take over the red side, who is more innocent and completely unaware of what's going on. Much like what happens in fairy tales and children's books, the velvet side is initially portrayed as very friendly. At first, everything is fine and all of them are having fun, but as the video progresses, the rides become more and more dangerous and the video becomes more flashy and confused. Some of the props that are used here, as well as the way the video is shot, suggest that the red side is being hypnotized. And if we take into account the lyrics in this context, they imply that the velvet side invited the red one to follow them into their world. They convinced them to cast a spell with the promise of finding happiness, and even if at the beginning the promise had some truth to it, later on it is implied that it was all an illusion. This actually brings us back to the connection I made between the ReVe Festival and the dream concept. Even if the velvet side promised happiness, in the video we see that once the red side got hypnotized, they actually fell asleep. And in the bridge we hear Wendy that says that the dream is actually inside of us. On a general level, this implies that the happiness they are promising was actually inside of us all along. But in the context of the storyline, this idea has a darker subtext. It means that while the velvet side is in control, the red side is living in a dream. And sure enough, this is exactly what happens in Oompa Oompa. Now, Oompa Oompa is yet another song that, if taken out of context, looks completely harmless. The title is a reference to an exercise that in South Korea people use to teach children to keep their breath underwater. And the music video shows the girls going on vacation and trying to have fun despite the bad weather. Like many of their summer songs, Oompa Oompa focuses on the red side of the girls. But in this case, this is not reality. This is them being trapped in the dream ZIMZALABIM put them in. This idea seems to be confirmed by both the lyrics and the music video. At the beginning, the song opens with Sulgi giving us a warning because she's seen many people already falling and never coming out of the water. In the song, the girls use drowning as a metaphor for falling in love. But if we see the warning in the context of the storyline, then what Sugi is referring to here is actually their magic. In the past, there have been many people who fell under their spell and never came out of it. They saw them struggling and suffocating, and they hope that you're different from them, even if this concern is actually a fake one. Much like what happened in ZIMZALABIM, in Oompa Oompa they pretend to be helpful, but in reality they are the ones who are letting you drown. Their objective is to keep their victims under their spell by giving the impression that that's their choice to do so. And in the video we see exactly that. As I mentioned earlier, the world we see here is a fake one. And this idea is further reinforced by the fact that the external locations are not real places but set designs. You would think that SM has enough money to shoot on location, but they chose not to, and this is very telling, I think. In the video, the main plot is set inside of a house, and as time goes by, we see the girl's situation getting worse and worse. In the meantime, however, we also see another version of them dancing happily on the fake beach. In this case, the weather is fine and they're having fun, but these two versions are once again different sides of them coming together. The girls we see in the house are the red ones, that is, those who are stuck in the dream, while the others are the velvet ones, who enjoy the illusion because they are the ones who created it in the first place. The illusion here is actually revealed during the bridge, where we see the velvet Irene actually appearing in front of the red Irene on the stage. To me, this confirms that what we are seeing is fake and that one side of them is actually playing a trick on the other. The reason why the red side doesn't realize it is because, as the lyrics say, they forgot about what happened. And this is why the red side eventually chooses to stay in the house even when the weather gets better. Here they have the opportunity to escape, but they choose not to because they've drowned in the magic of the velvet side. They've been conquered by the love spell they put them in back in ZIMZALABIM. And even if the promise of happiness is now fulfilled, this happiness is only an illusion. This leads us to Psycho. Now, as I said in part 1 of this series, Psycho is a song that's fundamentally about the girls willingly surrendering to a toxic love. The relationship they are singing about here is a very difficult one. They want to resist it, but the temptation is just too strong. And in the context of the storyline, the song represents the perfect finale to the trilogy. In ZIMZALABIM, the red side was seduced. In UMPAH UMPAH, they drowned in the love spell they unwillingly cast on themselves. And in Psycho, they eventually accepted and let the velvet side take over. Now, since we are talking about different sides of the same people actually interacting with one another, it's very difficult to say if this is a happy ending or not. If we follow the witch archetype I mentioned earlier, the fact that the velvet side overpowered the other should be seen as something negative. But at the same time, both ZIMZALABIM and Psycho focus on the idea of freeing their true self and be who they really are. And this is inherently positive. It means that the ReVe Festival brought the two sides together and now they are finally united. And in Psycho, we kinda see this through the imagery that is being presented. As I said in part 1, there are many hints that the velvet side was always the more powerful one, even if it was kept hidden. The red side was possibly an illusion in and of itself, but now it's over because their true self is actually revealed. Even if in the lyrics the girls say that they don't play the game, in reality they've been playing it all along. And as it turns out, this is something they actually enjoy. The relationship the two sides have with one another is very strange and weird. They know it and now they accept it, because they are psychos and everything will be okay. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!